Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast. Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
Sam Roberts, what's the haps?
yeah, you beat me to it.
What's the haps?
What's the haps?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I'm
man.
happy to have you.
Thanks for having me on as your full-time co-host here, the Sam Roberts, the Peacock Primetime Show,
Yeah.
bringing you all the soft rock hits on a hard day's drive home.
I think you're confused about what we're doing here.
Well, I was promised a lucrative contract.
Right. No.
You said, come on up, SiriusXM needs the Peacock.
You're just a free guest on the wrestling podcast. It's not even... it's just for, like, the internet. Which is, I mean... No, we're just going to talk about, like, you and wrestling, and then that'll actually be the end of it.
And we'll do this every day from 9 to midnight here on SiriusXM.
We're going to do the one interview, and then I'm going to do my show by myself. You're going to leave. And then I'm just going to, do my serious show on my own, and then this we'll put on the podcast, and then,
You're sure about this is just a goof?
Nope.
You goofing on me?
And then,
bring me all the way here? And
I'll see you again and be like, hey, it's good to see you. Like, we'll be cool, we'll be friends.
It'll be awkward.
It will be.
Because this is very disappointing
You were brought here under false pretenses, you're saying?
Yeah. I came with a big smile. I put on my best tight pants.
Yeah.
I skipped all the way here. I called Ring of Honor and I quit my job.
Wait.
I quit. I got a job with Primetime Sam Roberts.
Yeah, no.
I'm moving on up.
I have no idea.
Behind the microphone's where I belong. No more dancing in underpants for me.
Right. No, I don't know why you thought that was the case, because it's not. But
because you swooped in like an angel from heaven with this news.
Right. No, I think these are all things that played out in your head that didn't happen.
You came with all the things that I wanted to hear, and now you just tore my heart right out of my chest. Crushed.
Just crushed. But we'll call Ring of Honor and try to get your wrestling career back, because that's kind of what I'm curious about.
Some pretty regretful things.
You did.
Oh boy. Did I say some mean things about Peruvian people?
Oh, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
It's
just I was like, there's no touching me now, SiriusXM. I could say all the swear words.
Sinclair records those phone calls. You're done. That was not smart.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, okay. But, I get that now.
Right.
Hindsight's whatever.
2020. But Dalton Castle, first of all, how was Dalton Castle created? I need to know, because I know that you spent time as an amateur wrestler, correct?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You grew up watching pro wrestling.
I grew up watching pro wrestling, and I grew up like best friends. My best friends between like 15, let's just start there, is where they all started training as a pro wrestler. And I was...
Oh, so this thing actually, I mean, for most teenagers who watch wrestling, the idea of training doesn't even occur to them until even later. Like, you just watch wrestling having no idea... How does one become this?
Yeah, I don't have a clue.
Right.
And, like, it was never the goal from the beginning. Like, obviously, I loved wrestling. Who didn't like wear a grocery bag, like a tank top, just so I could tear it off, running through my living room? We'd push the couches together, me and my brothers, and we'd wrestle there. But like,
and we're about the same age, so I would imagine that at least in high school, you considered cutting not just the sleeves, but the entire sides off your shirt, so you could wear it like the NWO ponchos or whatever.
That's right. Yeah. Yo. And then, no, so like I started wrestling amateur like in 7th grade, and as we started getting older, like we always backyard wrestled, me and my friends, and then like my best friend at the time, he started. His goal was always to be a pro wrestler. Right. And I was like, well, I'm doing this real stuff here.
Right. When you were amateur wrestling, it wasn't to get you closer to pro wrestling.
No, it was just like it
was the sport that you did.
Yeah. My sister's boyfriend at the time, who I thought when I was real young was super cool. And I was like, he wrestles. I should probably do that.
Right.
And then, like, slowly I got better than he ever was, and I lost all respect for him.
He's not that cool after all.
Nah, screw him.
Right.
I would love to wrestle him right now.
Yeah.
He's dead, but,
well,
unfortunately.
Good. You would have killed him anyway.
I'll dig him up, and I'll pile drive his bones. I don't know if he's dead.
Hopefully he is. So go on.
Yeah. Hopefully he is.
Yeah.
Screw him. What did he ever do to us?
Right. So what? You start training when?
All right. They all got really good, and as I'm like progressing in college.
If you saw them training,
mm-hmm.
why didn't you say, "Oh, I see a path to pro wrestling"? Like, what did you think you were going to do for a living?
I was going to be an Olympic champion.
Oh, you were going to be an amateur wrestler.
And then they were going to, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, there's the champ. And then I was going to open up a restaurant. We was going to call it Goldie's after my gold medal.
That's so smart.
Yeah. And then people would come every night and I'd take a picture with them.
That's perfect.
So they all started getting good at wrestling. I started getting good at amateur wrestling, but I would, like, weekends off where I wasn't in season, I would hit the road with them and I would just travel to shows and just make all these experiences. I loved wrestling, but the ring wasn't for me. So like I would sit in locker rooms, I would watch shows.
Because you like the atmosphere. Like that's the thing about wrestling. Like people who love wrestling can just sit there and be a part of the world and just that's all you need sometimes.
Yeah, and not know why I love it either. Like, what am I doing in stinky South Philadelphia?
Right, with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, and I'm poor at the time. Like, I'm a kid. I got no money.
Yeah.
Who's gonna shower? Not me.
Right.
That's not happening.
No way.
But I'm gonna sit in this smelly arena and love it. Love every second of it. And I just over time just kind of developed these friendships with people on the road and in the locker rooms and started, I don't know, like maybe like by osmosis, I started understanding what was going on, like for lack of the business. But I just started seeing how people handled themselves. I wasn't handling myself well.
You weren't?
No, I was immature. And again, like I had no ambition to move up in that world.
So what were you doing there? Were you just going and just making wise-ass comments?
Rocking karaoke after the party or after the show. And just having, I would do my best. I would set up the rings. I would always help.
Okay, so you had some respect.
I would help tear down. Yeah, of course, respect.
But
I'd touch knuckles, spec knucks.
Right, but you weren't like being political. You weren't being like, oh, let me just be humble and over here because you guys are doing this because you didn't want to.
I wasn't going. I need to go shake that guy's hand because I want him to book me on his show in Hazleton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
I wasn't doing that.
Didn't matter to you.
I was going. That guy seems like a fun dude. I'm gonna become best friends with him.
Right. Or that guy seems like he sucks. I'm not gonna talk to him. Right.
So I would like. Before I knew it, I had been around it for like 10 years.
And never trained?
Never trained. Well, I would say when I was 16, maybe.
But not like seriously.
I had one untrained match just to make everybody laugh.
Yeah.
And there's video of that somewhere.
It's not good?
No, it's not good. But I would say, like, as an untrained, know-nothing guy, brilliant. I'm brilliant because I don't know how to tie up.
Right.
If I tie up like with this guy, obviously with my classical training of amateur wrestling, I'm probably going to throw him through the wall.
Right.
You can't turn off the skills I have.
I interviewed Hulk Hogan, and I was like, we were doing a photo after, and he goes, oh, here's what we got to do, brother. And he's like, grab my elbow. I was like, okay. And he goes, then grab my neck.
Wait, what is all that? All right, well, I'll get to that part after. Go on.
And like all of a sudden we're locked up. And I was like, oh, collar and elbow tie up. And like everything clicked. I'm probably 30 years old at that point. And I'm like, yes, collar and elbow.
Did you call Vince immediately?
Yeah.
I'm ready. I get it.
I got it. But that's, I mean,
what does Hulk Hogan's elbow feel like?
It's just,
I feel like it's loose.
It's strong.
It's strong?
He is a solid man. You'd be surprised. I mean, the skin is leathery, but he's a solid man. And he's big. He's even bigger than you think he is.
I'd be afraid.
He's massive. So,
did you feel comfortable in his arms?
Yeah, I felt protected. That's the point. I felt protected. When did you start training then?
Okay, so college ended. I went to nationals my junior year.
Where'd you go to college?
I did 3 years at Brockport, which is D3, and then I got kicked off my team, and then
Why'd you get kicked off?
For being hilarious.
Is that right?
Well, he made just a clean sweep. My coach was insane.
Yeah.
Like, he's a wonderful reputation amongst like the rest of the wrestling world. He coached a few teams to national championships, and he had a huge wall of All-Americans. But when we got there, he had gone so senile that the rules that we had, like in season, out season, 11 o'clock curfew, you could only live with wrestlers.
Even when you're not in season.
Excuse me. Friday and Saturday, we could be out till 11:30 p.m.
Whoa! And nobody asked what happens between 11 and 11:30.
That's the witching hour.
The witching half hour.
Yeah.
As it were.
And then With the no girls allowed in the room, if you were to find out that you had a relationship with a lady, you could get suspended for a couple days off the team.
Wow.
If you break curfew, which he would make us like rat on each other. Like the upperclassmen had to come check on us after 11 o'clock, and then like when I became an upperclassman, I had to do that too. And you have like a list of the rooms you have to go to, and then you got to call it in and be like, "Hey, coach, the freshmen were all in their dorm. They were all there, except for Tony. I guess he went to go get pizza. He'll be right back." You were allowed to go get pizza as long as you called and asked.
To get pizza.
Yeah.
May I go get some pizza?
We're
yes,
goddamn adults.
I know.
This is how we were treated.
Right. And the idea, especially like you're athletes, and there's even more of like an alpha mentality of being an athlete, and then you go home and get treated like this.
And it led to all sorts of like this weird testosterone like explosion because we're these wrestlers, and then we're locked in these dorms, and we're like alienated from the rest of the school.
Right.
So we, in the middle of the night, UFC just starts taking off. So we're like, let's go to the common area, guys, and fight.
Yeah. What else are we gonna do? There's no girls around. We can't stay out late. We have to hang out with each other all the time. We're fighting.
So this is probably my first taste of professional wrestling. We had a 24-hour tap-out title. So if you had the belt, you had to defend it all. We had like a sheet of 10 rules. You couldn't challenge somebody during practice.
That's fair.
Because coach would find out.
Yeah, you'd be pissed.
You couldn't like if you lost the title, you couldn't challenge for another 24 hours unless the person who beat you loses.
Right.
And if you win, you get a 10-minute grace period. So like you tap somebody out, somebody can't jump on you immediately. You get 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But people were finding RAs to unlock dorms when people were sleeping.
This is like the hardcore WWF hardcore title to the next
yeah,
level.
so like it was real.
But it's real life.
People were waking up in rear naked chokes. It was so stupid. And we had like tournaments coming up, and we would just fight.
What RA is like? He's like, look, I need to get into his room. Well, what do you need to do? I need to choke him out in his sleep.
Okay.
All right.
Just make it quick.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got the key. He's bored.
Right.
His tuition's paid for or whatever.
He wants to see it happen.
Where am I going with this? Oh, so that's the kind of stupid stuff it would lead to.
Right.
And then I guess I undermined him my junior year. He didn't like me because I talked out a lot, and I was involved in a lot of things in the school.
Like what?
Student government, big nerd.
So there seems to me, too, like student government also probably had a lot to do with, like, speaking in public and performance.
Yeah.
That's probably the performance part of you that obviously gets translated severely through pro wrestling.
Yeah, and I also did theater in school, too.
Right.
Like I was I minored in theater in college.
That's not a huge surprise to me.
No?
Yeah, no.
You think I got it?
Kind of saw that coming.
Oh man, if only I could talk in front of people. And like I was like president of the TV club, big nerd.
What's the TV club? Like where you put
television production.
Oh,
so
I was putting on TV shows.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
It was just the horrible.
So you didn't even know, you're thinking to yourself, because like I like to tell people that you should be looking at what you like to do and what you're naturally drawn to. And you figure out a lot of that in college because it's like you can do whatever you want in terms of clubs and stuff like that. You figure out what you're drawn to, and that's what you need to spend your life doing. So when you're like, okay, I really like sports and I really like entertainment, it didn't occur to you that maybe sports entertainment was where you were meant to be?
Well, no.
What combines amateur wrestling and theater and television?
I'm still currently a wrestler in college at the time, so like I didn't have to think past that.
Right.
All I'm thinking about is how am I going to try to win a national title or All-American this year? Or in case of my junior year or my senior year, how the hell am I going to get on a team and compete this year?
Right.
So I had to transfer out of my college the second semester of my senior year.
So that's what life is like, because I don't know, because I'm not an athlete, believe it or not. And I think a lot of
Get out of here.
Yeah, no, I know.
A limber fella like you?
That's right.
You don't do a little high jumping?
But so that is the athlete mentality where it's just like, no, it's you're not really thinking about what am I going to do when I'm 30. You're thinking about what am I doing this season? Like, how do I get on this
I think
team?
college like sidetracks a lot of people too, because like you're doing classes and stuff. So like, you got your coaches and stuff saying, "Hey, we need to focus on this season," and then you got everybody else like, "Yeah, the rest of your life, you're paying thousands of dollars to be here."
Right.
And like it's a conflict. You can shut one of them out, but you get torn when you're paying for school.
Totally.
But it wasn't until my season ended my senior year that I just got super depressed. And I would just lock myself in my dorm room. And my friend, one of my best friends at the time, he was currently on the reboot of ECW. I don't know. You ever Colin Delaney?
Of course, Colin Delaney. Actually, Colin used to call into a show I did on Sirius with a guy named Dave. Yeah, a few years back.
He's the best.
Yeah.
So I've known Colin. We were him in kindergarten together.
And of course, Colin was the extreme underdog in the ECW reboot.
Now he's the extremely cute wrestler.
That's right. That's right.
If we can find other ECW things to call him, the Energy Cat, Wild.
Somewhere cat, wild. So you and Colin were in school together.
All right, so I knew Colin in kindergarten, and then he left, and then when he left, his tag partner came in second grade, and then we became best friends, Jimmy Olsen. So then Jimmy starts training when he's 15 at the same school Colin's training to be a wrestler.
Right.
And then they become a tag team. And like my world just comes full circle. I'm like, oh, I'm the best friends forever.
Right.
And then they become really good. Jimmy makes a pretty good name for himself in the Northeast.
Sure.
And then Colin is one of the most successful persons out of the area at that time.
Right.
And I'm watching him on TV.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Yeah, you turn on ECW because you're still a wrestling fan throughout all this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like a big wrestling fan.
And at this point, I'm a Colin fan.
Right, right. And you turn it on, you're like, wait. Like, he's on TV now.
Well, yeah. And like we would hang out. Like I moved back to Rochester, and we would hang out every day that he was home.
Right.
Because he was not doing anything. I've got a crap job that allows me to just go out and party with him.
Right. And how old are you at this point?
22, maybe?
Okay.
21, 22.
So, and that's when you're also like, you're just trying to figure everything out now because the stuff that was happening before isn't.
Yeah, and they, I guess, have always seen it in me. I'm depressed. I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And like, I want to be an athlete and I want to be an actor.
Right.
And I have them in both my hands. I'm like, I don't know what to do with any of this.
Right.
What do we do here?
Right.
And
you're in upstate New York, so it's not like you're in Hollywood.
No.
So you're like, what does one do?
And one drunken evening, like maybe it's always been the back of my mind.
Yeah.
But Colin and Jimmy, they just sit me down and be like, "What are you doing? You need to do this. You need to be a wrestler. You listen to us."
And are you in good shape? Are you working out at that point?
Yeah, I just finished my senior year of college.
So you're still in wrestling shape.
I'm great. Because like after college wrestling, I went down a weight class.
Right.
I'm fitting in lady jeans at this point.
I mean, that's got to be exciting for you.
Don't get me started. Like, if I could put some Jordashes on right now, you would see a smile from ear to ear.
I'll bet.
Is that a lady brand?
They probably make men's too, but I don't know how many men in 2016 that wear Jordache. So that there's something feminine to that.
Yeah. Lucky you brand.
So now they're saying you got to do this.
Yeah, I'm like cruising through this. I don't know. Like, nobody really wants the whole story, right? Like,
well, I mean, yeah.
I feel like I'm going into too many details.
No. You know what? I want you to be relaxed here. That pressure's on me.
Can I take off my shirt?
No, not that relaxed.
Well,
but no, leave your shirt on. That's fine.
What can I take off?
But no, just leave everything on.
Leave everything on.
You leave it all on the way it is. But don't worry about giving
just do some stretches.
If I think you're giving too many details,
okay,
I'll speed you through them.
Oh,
that's my job.
Oh, you're doing great.
Thank you very much. But yeah. So you start training on their advice,
right? And under their tutelage too.
Is it a rude awakening when you start training, or do you kind of get it?
Well, I find like over the years of traveling, I've like I said, I've retained some information.
Sure.
I do immediately though have like a big respect for all these guys who have been doing it.
Right.
And when I get in there, I'm like, oh, like it comes so natural to them, like getting in there and calling moves or knowing where to put things. It's like I don't know what I'm doing out there.
Right, because you see these guys, and I'm sure you're there now, where they can see the match before it happens. And that's I would imagine that's the art of calling stuff in the ring, is that you know where this thing is going.
Yeah, and being an athlete, like I think I got really lucky because I can pick up on the movements quickly.
Right.
Like it didn't take long for me to learn how to do the fundamentals.
See that, yeah, like you need to have somebody that's actually coordinated and has some kind of control over what their body does.
Yeah, I know where my body is at all hours of the night.
Right. Me? Sometimes it's out across the block somewhere. I would be terrible about it.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going.
You shouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
This is not. You shouldn't be living in New York. This
your
body's gonna get.
It's bad.
Touched.
It's bad. Yeah. Well, it has.
Good for you.
So, you end up wrestling independent. You go to Chikara. I've always been curious how the Dalton Castle character, because Chikara, to be an outlandish character, did you get in pro wrestling to be an outlandish character? Like, was it just a given? Like, I'm not going to be a guy who is just a pro wrestler. Like, I'm going to be over the top.
No, I think I tried to go the other route, but like what you see now is what I'm more comfortable doing.
with the boys, and you're sitting on them, and you're
yeah.
touching their necks, and you're doing everything.
Yeah, like,
that's where you're in your safe zone.
Pretty much. Yeah, that was like
that's your happy place.
It comes natural. I don't have to think about what I'm doing. Like that. That guy in the ring, I know him well. Like Dalton Castle, I know very well.
Right.
And the name, like, what the character now, the rendition of Dalton Castle, like, is what I'm more comfortable doing than as opposed to, like, the stern, quiet, tough guy.
Right.
Which, like, secretly right here inside me, a real dangerous animal.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
But
I just got goosebumps.
But I can put on, like, I love having fun. I like to smile. I like acting in that way. I like being entertaining.
Right.
So if I'm not, I start to panic, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, doing things, when you're doing Dalton Castle, do you find it difficult to, because I think, at least when the character first started, the idea is really pushing on the homophobic buttons of wrestling fans.
No, that wasn't the idea.
It wasn't.
No.
So you didn't expect them when you're like, these are my boys, and I see some boys out there in the audience. You didn't expect like wrestling fans to be like, boo.
I don't know what I expected.
You just wanted to do it.
I just wanted to do it. I just knew that.
Did you like
this is something appealing?
Did you like the original Goldust growing up?
See, I don't think I watched when like Goldust debuted. I went back and watched it.
Yes.
But I do remember Attitude Era Goldust, but I don't remember the debut.
Yeah, like 95, 96 Goldust, before it was an Attitude Era, and he's coming out and pushing that envelope.
Is this it's see-through skirt thong wearing Goldust?
No. This is even before Marlena Goldust. When he's coming out and you're like a kid, at that time I'm 12, 13 years old, and I'm watching Goldust, and he's blowing my mind because all of a sudden...
Did you do that? Is that radio jokes?
All of a sudden, he's doing these so over-the-top, sexually provocative things that just weren't happening in wrestling, especially in WWF. Before that, and the closest thing that I've seen to it is the Dalton Castle character, because you go out there and you're not like kind of hinting at things. You're hitting the buttons. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're not dancing around stuff.
I don't want to why dance around?
Right.
Like there's no secrets to be held in Dalton Castle.
Right.
I look back sure, the colors, I think, and the presentation are very similar, but I don't think the characters of Goldust and Dalton Castle are at all the same.
Right.
Because I'm not out there, I'm not trying to make people feel uncomfortable.
You're just being Dalton.
I'm just being me. And if you can't accept who I am,
right,
and get out.
Right. I find it, what motivated it, because my favorite part, because we're about the same age, but I am like a connoisseur of like weirdness.
Oh, you're 22 as well?
You're still 22.
I'm
I thought you started training it.
Yeah. World of my oyster, Sam.
But when I look at Dalton
Castle... Look at these
crow's feet. It's all right. We'll put some TV makeup on. When I look at Dalton Castle, I see like there's a lot of like 70s. I feel like late 70s weirdness to it.
Yeah.
What is that?
Glam rock.
Yeah,
is what you see.
Like glam rock and drag stuff and that whole culture.
I don't think I didn't teeter with the idea of having some big beefy drag queens come out with me, and that still might happen.
Like what's your the cool Priscilla Queen of the Desert, like that type of stuff is what I see of the Dalton Castle characters. This stuff that were you into glam rock? Or
yeah, big time. Like I love Queen. I think like Freddie Mercury is like an amazing performer. Like,
yeah.
You can put it on mute. Like, just watching the dude work a stage is
Right.
amazing.
Right.
Then come along the darkness. And
Love
like
the darkness.
they're amazing because they're today and they don't care what year it is.
And it's not it's not a parody.
No.
And they're not even doing it ironically.
Yeah.
They're just doing it.
And Eric Nally from Foxy Shazam, like another guy, like if you ever seen them live, if you ever had like the treat,
it's great.
Just to see somebody perform like that and put on these costumes and like that kind of stuff. Even Liberace is like people who just go out there and they're not pushing buttons. They're just entertaining. They're doing what's comfortable to them.
Right. And it's them so far over the top. It's like, yes, we're just living in excess.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think like when I was younger in high school, I the superlatives things.
Sure.
I was loudest. Which, and it's a big thing of maybe I'm an attention whore or something. I confused funny with loud, so I was like, I'm gonna get everybody to laugh, but without saying anything, they'll just be loud, and then maybe they'll trick them into thinking I'm funny.
Right. Because I'm not creative enough yet.
Yeah, I don't.
But I can be very loud.
I haven't taken my beginner improv class yet.
Right.
I haven't how now brown cowed it at all.
Of course.
Zip zap zop, and then they. I think that's just like as I grown up, it's translated to I'll just do it with other things like materials, my clothing, my costume, my movements, my facial expressions.
Right, and bring it all together.
Yeah, and I'm making this all up on the spot. It's bullshit. I've really got no knowledge of where this all came from. I'm going to do another podcast right after this and tell a whole different origin.
How do you get to Ring of Honor though? With that character, because Ring of Honor is not a character-strong promotion like Chikara is. Chikara, you expect to go and show
and
up.
Dalton, I don't even do Dalton.
Right, you do a whole different deal in Chikara. But still, like, to be an over-the-top performer in Chikara, to do Dalton in Ring of Honor is very, very, I don't know, you could say off-brand for Ring of Honor, but it's not typical Ring of Honor.
I think I don't know why.
Did you pitch it to them, or did they come to you and say, we want to do some, like, glam rock thing, and you're the guy for it?
I begged. Yeah, I was already doing this on the indies.
Dalton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't happen overnight. Like, I think I had been in contact with Ring of Honor and trying to get a job there, or at least just my foot in the door.
Yeah.
I would just travel all the time. Bobby Fish is a good friend of mine, and we lived near each other, so I would travel with him as he started getting his foot in the door there.
And now you're traveling in a different way, because now you are traveling to shows with the mentality of trying to get booked on shows, whereas before you were traveling to shows with your friends, not caring.
Oh yeah.
Now you're traveling with Bobby, and you've come full circle where you're like, you are the guy who's trying to get booked on the show.
Yeah. So now I've like done the whole thing of I'm not gonna. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a weird life.
Right. I think it's very, very interesting.
Like, I used to drive 8 hours to do nothing. And now I'm driving 8 hours to do nothing again, but come home disappointed.
Right.
Oh, man. It used to be so easy.
Right.
I'd come home happy.
The other way.
Yeah. Screw this.
And what do you just convince Ring of Honor? Like, let me go out and let me just do it, or what?
I said, listen here.
Yeah.
I got a character on my hands that's going to get you 3 T-shirts that are going to sell like hotcakes. No, I don't even think they
got it.
I don't think they cared or knew or even believed in it one bit. They liked me as a person.
Yeah.
Because I've been around them for a couple of years, and I've made impressions and friendships there, and I had so many people just pushing to get me in, like Bobby for one, Matt Taven, and all these guys who knew me already would say, hey, give this kid a shot, and they would throw me like a dark match, but I wasn't doing the character.
Right.
So I bring the new character to them, and they're like, eh.
Really?
And then they just took a shot in the dark. I think they just put me first round in the what's the tournament? The Top Prospect tournament. That's where I debuted on TV as what you see now.
Now, where'd the boys come from? Did you bring the boys, or were you like, I need some boys to do this right? And they were like, okay, we got a couple kids. The original, when you first debuted, and they're like, all right, we're just going to try this. You can do the character. Do you go, I need a couple boys with me?
Those sweet little baby doll boys were just there. Just like sent down from the wrestling gods as a gift to me in Nashville, Tennessee. They were like, hey, look at these Jack twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, you'll do. And they killed it. They're just amazing. They took it so serious. They didn't care that they weren't wrestling. They just wanted a spot on the show.
I was actually having a conversation about that thing with somebody before you came in about how, like, I was trying to explain wrestling to them, and I was showing them your entrance, and they were like, "Oh, I would never, like, if I were like training to be a wrestler, I would never be one of those boys. You could never do anything again." I'm like, no.
Best spot on the card.
They've got exactly like if you see this character and this thing that like if you believe in it and these guys could see what you're gonna put into it and realize like, wait, I don't have to wrestle, I don't have to take any bumps. And there is a very good chance that this character, especially because there are no other real characters on the roster, this thing could skyrocket and I'm there. Like I found my spot.
I don't know if they thought that. I don't think I thought that either.
Really?
Like, because I was going to cycle them out. Like, wherever I'm in, whatever town I'm in.
Whatever boys I can find.
I was going to be the Godfather. They were my hoes.
Right,
you know?
right.
We were going to hold a contest at every strip club. And, like, it just so happened that they were great. And, like, seeing it on TV, me and the boss man were talking at the time, like, oh, man, wish we were a giant company so we could just fly those kids out everywhere. And we didn't know they were going to work so well, and they did. And they've got so much respect from the dudes in the locker room. Like, top guys look at them and just, like, love them. They're like, I can't believe that they're still so into it, and they still do such a great job. And I don't tell them to do anything. Right. Everything you see them do, they do their own. Like, they've owned the characters that I created for them, and then they've turned it into something even more.
Are you under Ring of Honor contract?
Currently, yeah.
So when you see, I've talked about
does
this.
Sam Roberts Wrestling podcast want to sign me?
That's not what the question is.
Is that what this is?
No, it's
All
not
right.
a negotiation.
So it wasn't the show, it was the podcast.
It's neither, actually. Yeah, no, it's not that. That's not where I'm going.
I get it.
Right.
I get it, because I'm still under contract. We can't. I get it.
No, it's not that. But
wink, wink. We'll talk off air.
When I wonder about the Ring of Honor contracts, and I talked to Adam Cole about it here on the podcast, and he was talking about some of the good things.
He's making so much money. He gets the private jet.
He does.
They give him a new suit every day.
That's why he likes the contract so much.
He even has a 3-piece suit he's allowed to swim in.
But it's not a wetsuit. It's a suit.
It's a suit.
Wow.
It's a
zoot suit. That's amazing.
He's so handsome.
He's such a good-looking dude. He's such a good-looking guy.
Right? What a jerk. What a bag of dicks he is. Who does he think he is walking around with all that good looks and talent?
You're right. I mean, you're supposed to have one or the other.
Right.
Not both.
He goes out there and he's awesome at wrestling and screw him.
But he was talking about the benefits of being under contract, because I was asking him if, you ever feel the shortcoming of it in the sense that you don't get to go out and work as many places as you would have if you were just an indie guy.
But I'm not under one of those contracts.
Oh, you're not?
Yeah, I'm not Adam Cole.
Right.
I'm lousy Dalton Castle, who we're not sure if he's going to do well. Let's just throw him a bone. Oh, I don't know about now.
Oh.
I don't know how they feel about me now.
But you're not under one of the exclusive, you can only wrestle.
I've got the Sclusy. Not down with the Sclusy. So I've been doing indies left and right.
So
when we saw each other the other week, I was on my way to Connecticut to go do one.
Oh, perfect. Are you allowed to...
Are you booking one at your house? I'll come wrestle.
Work a show in my apartment?
Yeah.
Like against the dog. I can only afford one wrestler.
What kind of dog is it?
It's a Labradoodle.
Oh, I'll put him over.
Thank you. That's what I'm asking for. When you see the WWE getting ready to put on this cruiserweight tournament that they are pulling guys off the indies for, is that something you're looking at? I don't even know. Are you eligible for it? Would you do it? Is it something you want to do? Are you even thinking about it?
No, I don't think that far in advance either. Like, if I start setting goals like that, almost I'm doing is set myself up for disappointment.
Right.
If I go, that's my spot right there.
Right.
Like, you give yourself such a small target. Like, there's such a big world. Wrestling's so nice right now. It's so good. If I just continue to try to be the best I can be,
it'll pan out.
As a peacock. Eventually an opportunity is going to present itself, and it's going to be the one that comes to me, and I'm going to be like, perfect.
Right, because I was also thinking about that in terms of the character. Like, as amazing as the character is it too sexual, overtly sexual?
What do I do that's sexual?
I mean, it feels like you're having sex with the boys after the matches. That's what I take away from
what?
A lot of
Is that what you got out of
that? Yeah, that's what I take away.
This is appalling.
Yeah, and can I tell you the truth? I've gone to shows where I watch Dalton Castle and he talks to the men in the audience. And it makes me feel like he wants to have sex with the men.
Is that a bad thing?
No,
like,
no,
how
no.
do you feel when I talk to you, when I addressed you?
Well, if you wanted to, I would say
are you flattered
by that.
Okay.
But that would be where it is a sexual thing to go out there and say, hey, all you male fans, I want to have sex with you.
First off, I've never gotten the ring, grabbed a mic, and said, hey, male fans. Hey, all you beefy, greasy knuckled dudes.
That would be my promo. I go, I'd like to say to all the male fans, be prepared to have sex done to you.
Did you just wrestle?
Yeah. I did. That was.
I saw a clip of you throwing a choke slam.
I did. I learned how to choke slam, and I learned how to throw someone over the top rope. It was a very poorly timed choke slam.
You were dressed like Nanny from Muppet Babies.
Yeah, that's the best one yet. With the striped leggings.
Socks,
yes.
Wait, what other people say you dressed as?
The witch.
Oh yeah.
From Wizard of Oz.
Like to drop a house on you.
Yeah, but Nanny from Muppet Babies.
Spot on.
Spot on. By far the best. But there is an element of sexuality to the character. I wouldn't call
I disagree.
Would you call the character?
Strongly disagree.
Would you say Dalton Castle is a character that is TV PG?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, what have I done wrong?
I mean, again, like, it's like, if I'm with like an 8-year-old
kid. If
your
your perverted mind takes you down this road that I'm not guiding you, that's your problem.
Right.
You've got something happened to you.
It may be a me thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I've met Dalton Castles in my life that have done things to me.
Do you have any uncles that we'd like to discuss?
It's a wrestling podcast first and foremost, so we're not gonna.
We're not gonna get to the bottom of your problems.
No, I'm interviewing you.
You just keep burying it deeper. That's all. Just suppress it.
That's it.
You'll never be okay.
That's it. But you don't. Do you?
Well, Dalton Castle. I don't. Despite what you think it is, I am fluid and versatile, and I can adjust to any situation.
Right.
And I think proof of what I do as the other character is proof of that.
Right.
So, like, if you see if anybody's ever complained or said something wrong, I can change it.
Right. If they're like, we want to take this, but we want to, and you're like, okay, we can adapt into this direction.
Yeah, there's things about my character that I believe big in. And look, you said about the sexual things. Like,
yes.
That is one of, like, my biggest pet peeves, or like thing that, like, it makes me laugh now because I've been doing it so long, and I'm at a point where I can tell people no. But like when I'm on the indies and I'm wrestling somebody new, and to get their perception of what they think Dalton Castle is,
the character,
is so, like, it blows my mind sometimes. Like, I get in the ring, like, hey, then maybe you back me up, and then maybe you touch my nipples or something, and you try to kiss me, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Have you ever watched me wrestle? Like,
right.
Has that ever happened?
Right. No, I've never seen you try to kiss someone or rub their nipples.
Yeah, maybe you go grab my stuff. Like, all right. I don't know what your goal is in this match, but we're not doing any of that.
Here, how about I dictate the Dalton Castle moves for this match? I just feel like where I see the sexuality is like standing in the ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
With two men who you refer to as your boys.
Those are my boys.
And they're muscular, and they're wearing like peacock war skirts.
Right.
And they've got masks on, they're fanning you. And then...
Because it's hot.
It's a warm
hot
arena.
In that ring.
It does. Yeah. It does.
You ever been on those lights? You obviously now.
I have. Yeah. I chokeslammed a man. And
15 feet in the air.
That's right.
A ring broke, just like...
They're stripping this jumpsuit off of you. They're taking your clothes off.
Taking my warm-up off.
Right. But they're taking off your clothes for you, and then you're using them as human chairs as you kind of wrap your hand around one's neck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is something to me that says
I'm petting them. I'm reprimanding them and saying thank you.
But there's no sexual element to that.
I keep it above the equator. Always with the hands.
Okay, but that's like still heavy petting.
It's heavy petting indeed. Like, okay, it could fall under the category of heavy petting.
So it's like middle school sex.
No. Because now you're just, there's no sex at all.
None.
Other than saying
there's foreplay.
Hey, if that's what your brain thinks, that's what your brain thinks.
I see.
I'm just saying thank you for being furniture.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
That's it. That's just how Dalton Castle thanks people.
Thank you.
So would you say Dalton Castle then is not necessarily a sexual guy, a physical guy?
Oh,
he likes to touch to say thank you.
A lot of hands-on.
When
I'm mad that we're so far apart in the studio, I want to just grab your hand and say, Sam, I'm talking to you.
Right. No, no. This is
just yank you aside.
It was intentional.
And run my fingers through that beautiful head of hair of yours.
Biggest table I could find in the building.
Man.
Yeah. Intentionally.
So it's okay. We can still make eye contact.
You do some YouTubing of Dalton Castle. and you find...
Oh, sure. Yeah, I do. About 17 times a day. Very vain.
Yeah, I would imagine. You find lots of Dalton Castle stuff, but then you find stuff that, like, of Dalton Castle...
The actual castle?
No, yeah. I got that today. I was Googling to make sure I had all my stuff straight. And it was like, did you mean Dalton Castle wrestler? Because here's pictures of castles. It's like, yeah, I meant the wrestler. But you have or had, do you still work in radio?
Oh, no. Oh, man. It is a year almost to the day that I got the caboose from the radio.
Fired from radio?
Yeah. So, like, I worked probably 7 years in radio.
What name did you go by?
For the majority of it, it was Dalton Castle.
Okay.
Like, then I started this name before I even started pro wrestling. It was my fake alias to hang out with all my wrestler fans who had fake names.
Gotcha.
And then I started wrestling the same time. Was I on radio? It's the same time I started radio. I started wrestling.
So you wanted a fake name on radio?
So, like, first couple years, I just used my real name because I lived in my hometown. It was just easier.
Yeah.
And then as I was leaving, for a year or two, I started switching to Dalton Castle, which that confuses listeners.
Yeah.
Not that anybody really cares. Like, nobody knows who the hell I am anyways. They're just a stupid voice who's playing stupid alt rock.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Albany, and where were we talking about in radio? The bosses just kept getting fired above me.
Sure.
Yeah, so, like, by the time, like, I'm on my 10th boss, I go in and I go, hey, I got this. They say, talk less on the radio. Stop making jokes. You're not a comedian. I'm like, okay.
It's like, why? Because that drives me crazy that the whole business is like that. Because you go, well, why am I on the radio? Like, why would you tell somebody who's there
to
talk?
Put a robot in here.
Exactly. Just play the music then.
Here's my iPod. Plug it in.
Right.
Like, that's all you really want.
Right.
So I would try my best to be entertaining, and they just kept cutting my legs out, and I would just get so frustrated.
Sure.
And broken inside. They just kept taking my breaks and shortening them to the point that it got to, like, 15 seconds in and out. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Right.
And then I'm just sitting in the studio watching wrestling while music's playing. It was the easiest job in the world.
Sure.
And but creatively, I've just broken.
Right.
So I start getting steam in wrestling. Like, Ring of Honor's offering me a deal, and I go to them and I say, hey, I am going to sign a contract with a wrestling company. They're on TV. I know you said don't talk about my wrestling on the radio,
right?
Because you don't think that's interesting. But I need to know if I take this deal, you're okay with me still working here, because a few Fridays out of the month, I'm going to be gone. And you know what? You don't even have to pay me for those days.
Sure.
We can change my whole pay schedule. And they go, you should take that deal. You should 100% do that wrestling company. And I go, well, what about here? And they go, hey, man, we'll work it out.
And that's it.
And then, like, a week later.
Goodbye. That's so stupid, though. Like, why wouldn't they want that little, for whatever it is, even if they don't have any faith in it, there's going to be some extra bump. Ring of Honor is undeniably on television. It's for sure on TV.
Yeah, and it's on in Albany.
Right. So you'd think that they'd be sitting there going, okay, you know what? Even if it's a small percentage, the fact that he's going to be wrestling under the same name that he's using on the air, there is something that wrestling fans are obsessive.
And before this boss got there, I used to just talk about my wrestling, my weekend or whatever. I would come home with some story.
It's funny.
Always.
Yeah.
It's funny and it's interesting. Like,
yes.
I'm not Sludge who all he did was go down to the titty bar for 2 hours on Friday night. Like, I've got an actual life experience I can talk about.
Right.
But
right.
Not to them. They're like, hey, man, that's not rock and roll.
Have you heard from any of them since then?
No, they can go fuck themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. They've just been cleaning house. Like, I didn't take it too personally.
Right.
I knew they were just looking to downsize, and they were like, well, we don't feel bad about firing him anymore.
Right.
Because he's got a job.
Right.
But, yeah. Right after I signed my deal with Ring of Honor, it was literally like I signed on a Friday. Monday, I come and got the email. They were like, come on down here at noon, we got to talk. So I just like, I'm taking all these files, delete.
Yeah, done. Yeah. You also ended up interviewing wrestlers.
Oh, that was like the best days.
On the radio show.
Yeah. Because like bands come in that you've never heard of.
Sure.
And I like talking to them. And then the big name bands come in and like, not that interested in it.
Sure.
Because I don't love, I don't know, maybe it's because I don't love that world.
Right.
But I love wrestling.
So how did you end up on that radio station then? The alt rock radio station? It was just a job in entertainment?
I went to school for broadcasting.
Yeah.
And I knew there wasn't a lot of TV jobs.
Right.
So I saw an opportunity in
radio.
Yeah. And I was just hanging banners, and they were like, "Hey, you're funny talking to people. You want to be on the air?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess
that would work for me." Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, this is fun."
Right.
Yeah. And then I just slowly worked my way up to afternoons. Oh, this is good.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Sam Roberts used to be with the Opie and Anthony show.
Correct.
In Rochester, New York, my station was WZNE. We would play Opie and Anthony every afternoon. We'd record it in the morning because Wheeze, and we'd play it in the afternoon so they didn't compete.
So you were working on Wheeze's channel, or you're saying Wheeze was on it, you didn't want to compete with?
No. Wheeze was on a different channel.
Right.
Opie and Anthony was on our channel, and we wouldn't play it live in the morning so they weren't simultaneous with Wheeze.
Now, was that your guys' choice?
I think that's Opie's. That's my guess.
I would imagine it's Opie's, yeah, because Wheeze is.
That was probably only compromise the company had to get them.
Yeah.
So I listened every afternoon, and then I got the job there. So I was doing nights at the time, and then they were in the afternoon.
Right.
And then when they got the boot, who was the first lucky dog to take the afternoon slot?
So you took our spot.
Dalton Castle.
You took our spot in Rochester.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got you the boot. I step in and just get murdered with phone calls. Just like, where's Opie and Anthony? I'm like, I don't know.
I'm Dalton Castle.
So it gets to the point where I'm just so annoyed because I'm just as upset as everybody else.
Right, because you're a fan.
Yeah. And now I'm taking the heat for it. So I just go, "Oh, you didn't hear? They died." And then immediately get called into my boss's office, and I guess that wasn't okay to say.
Right.
Because they weren't dead.
No. We were all still doing a show on Sirius.
You're alive, right?
Yeah.
Didn't die.
And Opie
I was
and
wrong.
And you were incorrect about that.
Yeah, and got in trouble.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got in trouble.
Yeah, well, I didn't fire you. I didn't do that.
Oh man. Well, what's in the future for Dalton Castle? Do we
know? The Dalton Primetime Peacock show here on Sirius XM.
It's not happening.
Moving on up.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Are you still a wrestling fan? Do you still watch?
Love wrestling.
WWE and stuff like that?
I watch all wrestling.
You do?
Yeah.
So you're going to watch, you'll watch the pay-per-views, you'll blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's cool. Because sometimes you find that, guys get into the business and then they get jaded by the business and then, they're not fans anymore.
No. Well, I mean, maybe I watch it from a different perspective now.
Sure.
But yeah, I still love it.
Yeah.
And when it reminds me how much I love it, it makes me so happy.
Mm-hmm.
If I can, I get excited at Ring of Honor shows.
Sure.
You've been to, you don't know wrestling, this camera guy, but
no.
But yeah, as soon as that music starts, pre-show, and all the fans start banging on the boards and stuff, I get so amped up and excited.
Yeah.
In not a sexual way, Sam.
Oh, I thought I was gonna say. You mean sexually, right?
Yeah. I get so horned up.
Do you think? Where do you think Ring of Honor is right now? Do you think? Are you happy with the space that they're in? Do you think there's anything they need to do differently?
I don't concern. I constantly want it to be better.
Yeah, sure.
And I can't control anything outside of what I do. So we keep it looks like we're throwing a lot more money around.
Mm-hmm.
We just did a couple TV tapings where we brought a brand new set in. Production wise, it looked really good.
I saw photos that it looked really good.
Yeah, and it felt good to walk out there. It felt like you were part of something bigger and something growing. I just went to Japan for the first time ever. That was amazing. We got those episodes should be airing soon. I'm hiccuping.
That's okay. You're nervous. I understand.
Well, I mean, I feel like this is a job interview for my new radio show here.
It's not going to happen.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know.
I applied a lot of times to Sirius XM. I feel like that's why I got the call, because you finally found my...
You know what the thing is? You put on your resume, and we did a background check. Dalton Castle is not a real person, so there is no... the background check didn't pan out. Yeah, it didn't make any sense. The only thing we found, then they just Googled it, and saw a guy in a peacock outfit with boys, and you know what they said?
What?
Too sexual. Too sexual. We don't like it.
I will burn this place.
We don't like it. We don't like it.
Well, that hurts.
Well,
that's hurtful.
But Dalton, your wrestling career is prospering, and I think it will continue to prosper.
But I feel like my radio career is just taking off.
It's over, buddy. It's a good thing the wrestling thing worked out, because that job you got fired from in Albany, That was it.
That was it.
That was it
whole...
for radio. Yeah, that was the end.
Yeah, that was it.
That was
all done.
End. But now you got your boys. Now you got your jumpsuits. Now you got your peacock feathers. You got everything. You got the whole world on a silver platter for you.
Oh, man.
It's an amazing time to be Dalton Castle.
It is. And it's good. I'm happy. It's a good thing I got all these muscles, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't have any of those.
And I spilled some charisma on the floor over here. I hope that's okay.
You can follow Dalton Castle on Twitter at The Dalton Castle, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
The Dalton Castle on Twitter. And is there anything else you want to promote?
Yeah, man, I got the couple T-shirts on Ring of Honor, or ROHWrestling.com.
Yes.
And I got the Pro Wrestling Tees store.
There it is.
And I got a bunch of shirts up there. And I guess, if you're looking to have a guy, I don't need to be on real radio. I can just come to your living room, just
Why
talk
are you trying to get a job in radio, dude? Like,
I'm just trying to branch out.
But radio, it's just me in radio. I'm the last one.
You're the last survivor.
I'm the last professional broadcaster. Radio dies after I'm done. So don't, try to get into radio.
Okay, all right.
It doesn't make any sense.
I'm starting, what is it, a Funcast?
That's right. Yeah, Funcasting is how it started. Funcast is the future of broadcasting.
Those are just conversations, podcasts without microphones.
Right. Well, we should Funcast now that the podcasting is done.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dalton.
Thank you for having me, man. It was a blast.
Of course. Hey, it's Sam Roberts. I hope you enjoyed that wrestling interview from Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast. You can go to notsam.com to subscribe to that podcast. But I upload videos like that on this YouTube channel all the time. So if you don't already subscribe now. It's on the side of the page. I made it real easy. Click the button. Subscribe to the page. Subscribe to the page.